Welcome to Fireside News, where we break down the wildest, weirdest, and downright dumbest stories of the week. This Dirty Dozen midweek meltdown is next level crazy. A guy wins $57,000 at a casino, but he's banned for life by himself. Thieves steal a wallet, buy a lottery ticket, and hit the jackpot. A man gets 2 DUIs in 2 nights in the same spot at the same time. A billionaire might pick the next James Bond, and a new app lets you hire armed bodyguards on demand. And that's just half the insanity. Wait until you hear the rest. Hit like, subscribe, and let's break down the madness. A lot of criminals have a losing record against the cops, but there's a guy in Indiana who claims he wins more than he loses. A man named William Demers led the Indy police on an 18-minute high-speed chase last weekend with speeds into the triple digits. They ended up on Raceway Road in the neighborhood of Speedway. He eventually pulled over and stopped and told the cops he was giving up because the officers chasing him were just really good, and he wanted to put an end to it before anybody got hurt. He said he took off because he's a, quote, habitual traffic violator, and that he always runs from the police because, well, he's good at it. Williams said his record is, quote, 6-3 versus the police, but he's also said that he's always been able to get away from the Indy police when he drives off, until now, apparently. He was charged with resisting arrest and reckless driving. Well, here are a few more good news stories making the rounds. Some news that doesn't suck. A woman in Virginia bought a scratcher and was ticked off when the cashier gave her the wrong type of lottery ticket, but she didn't turn into Karen. She just got over it, and pretty quickly after that, she scratched it and realized, hey, I won $2 million. Lucky. Cops in San Francisco saved a sea lion that was seen wandering up a highway off-ramp. They thought it was a loose seal, so they called it Lou Seal. See what they did there? But it actually was just a young sea lion. They managed to coerce it back into the San Francisco Bay, and it swam off. And finally, a 94-year-old woman from San Diego named Barbara Ribeiro had a pretty cool reunion this month. Back in 1961, she found a missing toddler at the bottom of a pool and saved the kid's life. His name is Ben Cowell, and they hadn't seen each other since it happened 64 years ago, but now he's 66 years old and went on to have 2 kids of his own. So there you go. Some news that doesn't suck. How much money would it take for you to quit your job and drop everything and just travel the world? Someone polled 2,000 Americans, and the average answer was $288,000. Or, if you want me to be more specific, $287,731. 18% said they'd take off for less than 50 grand, while 32% said they need at least $500,000. And the last group either loves their job or hates traveling. I don't know. 17% said no amount of money could get them to drop everything and leave. The poll also asked what you do if you suddenly had $1 million travel budget that you had to spend. The top 5 answers are: start working on a travel bucket list, visit the 7 wonders of the world, visit as many famous landmarks as you can, and go on a really, really, really long road trip. Or just simply take your family and friends on a dream vacation. But for me, I would probably quit my job right now for a half-eaten ham sandwich. Do you remember when Elon Musk was in the Oval Office taking questions from reporters? Well, one of those reporters presented Elon with a fact he'd gotten wrong, and he admitted that he won't bat 1,000, you know? Well, it turns out that on Twitter, or X if we must, he's not even batting 500. Yeah. Someone took Elon's own AI bot, Grok, and examined his last 1,000 tweets, and it turned out about 48% of them could be considered true. 22% were deemed false, and the other 30% were misleading or ill-informed. That means 52% of what Elon says on his own social media platform is just complete bullshit. Yeah, Grok said Elon has, quote, a habit of firing off hot takes or amplifying unverified stuff, especially in politics, which is where most of the trouble lies. On a related note, Grimes took to social media to try to get a hold of Elon. She claims he's ignoring a medical crisis involving one of their kids. Billionaires seem to be making all the decisions these days, right down to who's going to play your favorite movie character. Amazon just made a deal over creative control of the James Bond franchise. And Jeff Bezos posted a screenshot of the story on Instagram along with the caption, "Who you pick as the next Bond?" But does this mean it's going to be his choice? I mean, technically, it can if it wants to make it that way, and it's his company, right? At this point, a new Bond flick probably years out, but there's been plenty of speculation ever since Daniel Craig retired from the role after 2021's No Time to Die. Some names that have come up over the years include Aaron Taylor Johnson, James Norton from Happy Valley, and Idris Elba. But the next James Bond could be chosen by Jeff Bezos. Would it be better if Jeff Bezos decided he was going to be the next Bond? Could you imagine? I'd watch that. Are you a self-absorbed narcissist? Well, it's a good thing you're paying attention to yourself because no one else is. A new study found that people who act like they're better than everyone else are more likely to be ignored, rejected, and left out of stuff. So if you think you're the best, but didn't get an invite to the party this weekend, maybe it's because, well, you think you're the best. A study found that we tend to avoid hanging out with people who act superior, and narcissists are also really good at noticing when they've been left out. And when it happens, they tend to get defensive about it, act even more narcissistic, and it makes us want to hang out with them, well, even less. So it's kind of a vicious cycle, right? At work, it might mean you're more likely to be left off of email chains or have your ideas ignored. And on weekends, it might mean you're left sitting at home, stumped by the fact that you didn't get invited to the bar. Remember Apple's old "there's an app for that" ad from 2009? Well, we may have finally hit a point where there really is an app for everything. A private security service called Protector just hit the App Store this week. People are calling it Uber with guns. For $1,000, you can have an armed guard pick you up and shuttle you around in an Escalade for 5 hours, which is pretty sweet. They're either retired law enforcement or active duty. The app was announced last year, but you might have heard about it last month when they did a video showing what could have happened if the gunned-down healthcare CEO had the app. It's only available in New York and LA for right now. There's a $129 annual fee you got to pay, and the prices start at $1,000. You can pay more to protect multiple people, or you can have a motorcade with up to 3 Escalades, so you can pretend you're a really big deal. Well, it's only deja vu if you remember it, right? Some idiot in Olympia, Washington got 2 DUIs in 2 nights after crashing his car in the same spot twice. A woman called 911 last Sunday at 9:47 p.m. after the guy crashed into her parked car. She said he seemed drunk, and he sure was. A breathalyzer clocked him in at .31, which is almost 4 times the legal limit. Cops arrested him and released him the next day. Then a few hours later, guess what? He did it again in the same spot at the exact same time. Yeah, cops were dispatched to the same intersection at 9:47 p.m. again. The only difference was he didn't hit the car this time. He crashed into a tree stump in someone's yard. The same 2 cops arrested him too, which is even funnier. And he also blew a .3. The judge upped his bail to $50,000, and the sheriff posted about it on Facebook. He said he's not sure duplicate crimes like this have ever happened in the history of modern policing. This guy's definitely transferring to another school after this, as a college kid in China is making headlines after he accidentally started a fire in his dorm while trying to hide his sex doll from his roommate. He had his inflatable girlfriend out when his roommate came home, apparently, and it's not clear if he was in the middle of something, if he's busy doing something, but he snuck her out into the hallway and tried to destroy the evidence by setting the whole thing on fire. Well, the hallway filled with smoke, which set off an alarm, so instead of his roommate finding out, guess what? Everybody did. A security guard called the fire department, and luckily no one was hurt, and it didn't cause a ton of damage, except to the kid's pride and reputation, because he is so never getting laid again. Well, a gambler may know the saying, "Don't make bets in a burning house," meaning don't double down on a losing hand, but you could also take it as it is. Don't gamble in a place you shouldn't be, right? A 46-year-old man won $57,000 jackpot at the Pennsylvania casino earlier this month, which is a pretty nice chunk of change. But the guy won't get any of it because, well, he was banned from the casino by himself. Pennsylvania has a self-exclusion list, which allows people with a gambling problem to block themselves from betting. They can voluntarily ban themselves from casinos, online gaming, and even fantasy sports. You can exclude yourself for different amounts of time, months, years, forever. This guy had self-excluded himself for life. So not only has he denied his $57,000 jackpot, but he's also cited for trespassing at the casino because he'd put himself on the list, dummy. A series of events like this could drive a man to drinking, unless he also self-excluded himself from the local bars, idiot. Well, this might be the only situation where you would reward someone for stealing from you. As earlier this month, thieves stole a backpack from a man in France, and his wallet was inside the backpack, and then they went to the corner store and used his credit card to buy some smokes and a lottery ticket, right? Well, that's where things get really interesting. The thieves won a huge jackpot on the scratcher, which was worth more than 500,000 American dollars. The cashier says they boasted about the win, and they were so excited that they left without their smokes. No one has come forward with the winning ticket yet, which makes sense because it was bought with a stolen credit card, and the thieves would essentially be turning themselves in if they tried to claim the prize, right? So the owner of the backpack went to the press and is offering him a deal. He's offering to split the winnings with the thieves if they give him back his stuff. He said he declined to press charges and they'd get the other half of the jackpot. So this is a sweet deal for them too, right? The guy has a simple explanation. He says, quote, "Without me, they would not have won. Without them, I would not have bought the ticket. I want to offer to share the winnings." But they're on the clock. People only have 30 days from the date of purchase to claim their winnings. He's working with a lawyer who tells the thieves they, quote, risk nothing by coming forward. But technically, it's unclear if they'd be able to take their share and just ride off into the sunset. Hey adventurers, do you love the outdoors? Love staying up to date on the latest news and viral trends? Then you're in the right place. On this channel, we bring you daily trending news, wild stories, and everything you need to stay in the know. So if you're all about adventure, laughs, and staying up to date, hit the subscribe button, join the crew, and let's make every day an adventure. Go on, click it. You know you want to.